Hello everyone, welcome back to another video and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be creating this FAQs section from Frontend Mentor. So in order to access it, all you need to do is go to any challenge that you have, any challenge that you're going to have access to, and then just scroll to the bottom, and then you're going to find this FAQ section. And so we're going to be replicating this functionality where we can click on one question here and it's going to expand to show the answer. And then when you click on it again, it shrinks down and it doesn't show the answer. And then when the answer is showing, then it shows a minus. And then when the question is showing, it shows a plus. And so since we're going to be building this in React, then what I've done is I've created a new React application that is called FM Accordion. So you can do that by saying npx create React app, and you can give it whatever name that you want. In this case, I've chosen to call it FM Accordion. And then you can let that run. And then once it finishes running, then it's going to create your application into the folder that is called FM Accordion or whatever name that you gave it. And then here I'm just opening up an instance of Visual Studio Code into the newly created folder, and that is going to open up this. Now this is the default structure that we have in a React application. The only difference is I have a questions.js file. Now inside the questions.js, I'm just exporting an array of objects that is called questions, and obviously it has the question and the answer, and all of this is coming from right here. So the question is this one, which is the question, and then the answer, when you expand it, the answer is basically this one, which I've just copied and pasted inside here. And I've done that for all the other questions as well. So this is what we're going to be working with. And then, like I said, the rest of the application is just the default React application, but I want to delete some files. So I want to delete the setup tests, the report with vitals, the logo, the app test.js, and the app CSS. We don't need all those files. And then now all you need to do is just go inside our index.js, and then you can remove this because we are no longer importing this file, and then save it. And then inside our index.css, we can remove this part. We're going to be using a custom font, and then inside our app.js we can just remove all of this, and we can say RFC, which is going to create a default function component for me because I'm using an extension that is called ES7 Plus React Redux and React Native Snippets. So you can go ahead and install this. You don't have to use it, but I do prefer it. Now, once you have that running, then what I want to do is I want to install TailwindCSS because we're going to be using TailwindCSS for this project. And so in my terminal, which I have running, I'm going to add a new terminal here. And then inside this terminal, I want to install TailwindCSS. So let me navigate into the TailwindCSS docs, and then we can see how to, not the docs, the installation, this other link, this one. Not that one. Oh my god, this one. So TsbSankara, we can go into the framework guides, and then we want to use create React app, and then let's just follow these steps. So we have completed these two steps, so we want to do this one next. So copy and paste here, and then let it run. And then once it finishes running, we can copy this second one. So copy and then paste it here, and then let it run. And this is going to give us the Tailwind config file somewhere here. There we go. So we have the Tailwind config.js, and then we are going to copy this line, and then inside our Tailwind config file here, we're going to paste it inside our content. And what this means basically is that it's going to check inside this folder for files that have this type of extension, and it's going to check for Tailwind classes inside it so that it can apply the correct styles. So you can save that, and then now we can copy these three lines and paste them inside our index.css. So right above this, paste it in, and then we can save that as well. And then now let's head over into Google Fonts so that we can get the font that we're going to use. And we're going to be using two fonts, not this one. This is for another project I'm doing for the Burger King website. So let's go back to Google Fonts right here, and then let's search for a font called Hebo. So we're going to get this one. This is going to be for the text inside here. So the text, we're going to use the regular 400. So copy this, or no, not really copy, but select it. And then we're going to go back and we're going to get another font that is called Barlow, which is going to be for our headings for our questions rather. And for that one, I'm going to use I think the medium 500 should work. So let's select this one. And then let's go ahead and use the import tab, and then let's select this, so copy, and then we're just going to paste it above it. I hope above is going to work. And then now for the body, we don't want this font family anymore, so we can just go ahead and remove this part, and we're going to say that the body is going to have a font family of Hibo with a fallback of sans serif. And then below this, let's specify the H1s. Actually, do we even need an H1? Maybe for this one. For this one maybe, and then this one for the H2s. So let's just say that for the H1 and H2, the font family is going to be Barlow with a fallback of sans serif as well. And then below this, let's specify the paragraphs to have a line height of about 1 point, let me see. Yeah, let's use 1.8. And then the color for the paragraphs, I want it to be this light gray. Now notice that we're using Tailwind right here, so we can use a Tailwind directive, and we can say @apply, and then we're going to say text dash gray dash, let me see, about maybe 500 and 600, which is going to be the color for the text. And then for the H1 and H2, I'm going to say @apply, and I'm going to say text gray 800, or let me just say 900, and then that is going to be the color for our text. Now in my other terminal, I'm already running my application by saying npm run start, so that I can preview this on localhost 3000, so that if I go into my application, then I should see this. So this is the only thing that is showing. Now let's just go ahead and grab this background color here. So the background color, I'm going to use my color pick eyedropper tool here. The color is FA. So let me copy this, and then inside the body, I'm going to specify a background color of hashtag FAFA. There we go. And then save it. And then now when we preview this, then it should have the gray background color. And then now I want to begin to add all of this in just for the layout. Now for these icons, I want to use React icons for it. So let's go ahead and install that actually. So Control J to open up your terminal. And then inside your second terminal, just say npm install react-icons. And then as that is running, let's go into our app.js, and then let's begin to return something here. So we're going to return a section. This section is going to have an H1 that says challenge FAQs. And then below this H1, we're going to have all of this section. And then the way I want to do it is I want to build out just one of this so that we can get the structure looking correctly. And then when we get to populate our actual questions inside, it's going to be much easier. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to create a div, and then this div is going to be one of this. And then the way I want to do it is we want to get the question here and then the icon here. And so I'm going to do this. I'm going to have an article, and then this article is going to have an H2 that says the question. So let me just say question. And then at the end of this H2, I'm going to have a button, and this button is going to be the icon. So let me just select the correct icons by going inside React icons. I can't remember the website, but it's right here. So React icons, let me search for plus, and we can use, which is a good one. I don't like this one. I like this one better. So let's select this one. And then because it's a React component, always remember to place it inside your angle brackets and then close it out. And then let's import this. So let me go ahead and say import, and it is a named import, so always place it inside curly brackets. And this is coming from React icons /bs, so bootstrap. And then we also want the minus icon. Minus, we use bootstrap. So let me search for a bootstrap icon as well. Is bootstrap, it's not here. So let me say bs minus. No, nothing. Okay, so let's just use this one there. So this one, and then we're going to have another button here that says a React icon, like so. Now let's go ahead and import this. Let's just paste this downward and say bi minus from bi. Bi is from which one? bootstrap icons, or no, it's from box icons. Okay, and then let's save that. Now obviously we don't want this to be appearing as it is, but we're going to fix that in a few moments. So let's check it out. Let's reload it, and we should be able to see our thingy right here, challenge FAQs, looking nice. Now once we have that, now that is our question, then we're going to create another article below this, and then this article is going to have a paragraph that is going to be the answer. So for this one, I just want to say about lorem maybe 40, just to get some dummy text on the screen so that we can see what we have here. And then now let's begin to style this out. So inside this section, I'm going to give this a class name of a max width of XL, and then an MX of auto, which is going to center it. It's going to push it somewhere here. If it reloads sometime today, reload really. Class name max width XL. Oh, wait a minute. I installed Tailwind while this was running, so that's why. So I have to restart it. Because I also changed some settings inside the Tailwind config file. So let's just wait for it to restart, and then we can continue. Okay, so there we go. So once it reloads, we have this on the screen. So let's begin to style this out so that it looks a bit better. And the first thing that I'm going to do is inside this h1, I'm going to give it a class name and say text-center, and then uppercase with some letter spacing. So I'm going to say tracking widest, so that we're going to have that. And then font bold. Is that even going to make it bold? Okay, it does. And then let's go back into the section and give it a padding on the Y of 20 and a padding on the X of 4. So padding on the Y is going to push it downwards, and then padding on the X axis is going to push it inwards, so that on small screens it doesn't touch the edges right there. Now once we have that, then let's go inside this div, give it a class name of border, and border dash gray dash 400, and then rounded dash large, and then bg white, so that when I save it, then we're going to have a border and then a white background right there. And then let's say padding all around of 4, which is going to push everything inside here inwards just a bit, and we're going to have that. Now once we have that, I need these two buttons to come here, and then the question is going to remain here. So we're going to go inside this article, and we're going to give this a class name of flex, and flex is going to align them in raw form by default, so that we're going to have that. And then I need this to come all the way to the end, but you're going to see an issue just about right in about 10 seconds. So I'm going to say item center, and then justify between, and this is going to bring this one here, but it's going to place one in the middle. That is because display flex is taking the h2, the button, and this second button to be elements of their own. Now I say that we're going to fix it, and we are going to fix it once we begin to set up our state values. Now once we have that, then I just realized that I probably made a mistake, because if you look at this, we have the heading here, and then when I open it up, then we also have this kind of line on top of it. So the way we do that is we have to remove the padding here, but let me just show you something. So here I can give this a class name, and I can say have a border on the top, and have a border of, what did I use, gray 400, have a border of gray 400, and that will technically work, but you can see that it doesn't go all the way to the end. That is because of this padding all around of 4. So we can remove it from here, and then now we can place it on the individual articles. So padding all around of 4 here, and then on the second article, padding all around of 4, which is going to push the question inside, and then this one also inside. So this is much better. It is much better. I think it's a bit small. Maybe we can increase it for larger screens. So I can say that for large screens, then the padding all around is going to be 6, and then let's just copy this class and paste it here, and then we're going to have that. So it's just a bit bigger, and that looks nice. Now that we have this structure in place, let's add a bit of margin first of all here. So on the h1, let's just have a margin on the bottom of 8 to push it downwards from this. And then I want to add a second div, so this div, so copy, and then below this let's just add it in, so that we can we can see how they're going to look when they are stacking one on top of the other, and obviously this is not what we want. So what we can do to fix it is we can go inside every single div and add a margin bottom on them so that they push downwards, but that doesn't really work all that well in the long run. And so what we can do is we can grab the divs, the individual divs, so the first one and then the second one, which ends here, and then we can place them inside another point such as a section or another div even. And you know what, let me place them inside a section so that we can tell the difference. And then when I paste them in, then I can go inside the section and then display the section either as a flexbox or as a grid. In this case, I'm going to use grid, so grid columns 1, and then I'm going to add a gap of 8 just so to add this space in between them so that they separate one from the other. And so that is looking okay, and we know that now this is how all the questions are going to look like. So now I can go ahead and I can remove this second div which ends here. I can remove it, and then now we can begin to set up our state values. So we're going to import use state from React, and remember the questions data that we had, so this one's right here. We want to also import it so that we can use it inside our app.js. So I'm going to say import questions because it is a named export, so when we're importing it, we also import it inside curly brackets. So import questions with an S from questions, there we go. And then I can set up my state value, so I can say const question, or okay, you know, this is a naming conundrum. So I guess I can just call it cards for the sake. So cards and set cards, which is going to be the function that is controlling how my state value is accessed. And this is going to be equal to use state, and by default I want to give it the questions that I have just created. And then what we can do now is we can go ahead and create a section here. Now this is going to be a duplicate because I don't want to be substituting the values inside here. So I'm going to say section, and this section is going to have a class of grid and grid dash columns dash 1 with a gap of 8. So it's basically the same section as this one, but in this section I want to map over my questions data and then display a component which is going to be rendering that particular question. So I'm going to say cards.map, and then for every single card, meaning the object that we're going to get back when we map over it, and the object is going to be this single one, so every single one inside here we're going to be getting them in singular form, so every single one. So for every card that we get back, we want to return a component here that we're going to create, and we're going to call it single question, and then we're going to close it out. And obviously we don't have this one right here, we don't have it yet, so you can go ahead and create it. So inside my source folder, I'm just going to right click and say new file, and I'm going to call it single question.js, and then inside single question I'm going to say RFC, and it's going to generate this for me, which is okay for now. But then inside app.js, now I need to import this, so you can just say control spacebar on the component and just click on this, and it's going to import it on top. And then because we are mapping over this, it returns a list, and every single list in React needs to have a unique key so that React can differentiate it in the virtual DOM. And for that, we're going to use the index of the object. And remember that arrays are indexed from 0, so this is 0 and then 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and so on and so forth. And then we just need to get this index, so you can just say comma index. Now once we have that, we can save this, and then what you're going to see on the screen is single question, and so on and so forth. Now what we need to do therefore is this: instead of now rendering all this, we're going to cut this out. We're going to cut starting from the div. So cut it out up to here, cut it out, and then you can remove this section because this section is a duplicate of this top one. So remove it, and then inside single question, we're going to return a fragment. And then now instead of just returning single question, we're going to paste this in, which is going to return all this. And if I save it before importing this, it's going to give us issues. So let me say, just say control spacebar here, and then import it, and then control spacebar, and then import it as well. And then we don't need anything else, so I can save it now. And then if I save this as well, look at what is going to happen on the screen. Now we have a single question. Now instead of rendering single question, now we are rendering the question component, which is basically all of this. So it means that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 question or something, if I counted correctly, that is. Now obviously we don't want to render this on the screen, but we want to render the actual questions. And the way we do that is we need to get the card here, the object that we get back, and then we need to go inside the object and get the question, and then also get the answer, and we do that by using dot notation. Now I'm not going to use dot notation here because I just want to pass in the card that we get back, meaning all the properties of the card. And the way we do that is by adding in our curly brackets here and then saying dot 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 card. This is called the spread operator in JavaScript, and what it does is it just tells JavaScript that take all the properties that are remaining inside here and then pass them inside the single question component, and that is what is happening here. And when I save this, now I can go inside single question, and we know that inside the card that we get back, we have a question. We can get a question, and then we can also get the answer. Now obviously this is not going to work because it needs to be inside brackets because we are destructuring them. So that now instead of rendering question here, I can remove this and then render question, which is basically this. And then instead of rendering all this, I can remove this and then render answer. And then when I save it, then we should be able to see all this on the screen. Would you look at that? So every single question is here, the question, and then the answer is here, and so on and so forth. Now we just need to work on our functionality. And that means that we're going to have to restructure this just a bit. And the restructuring is going to begin from right here. We're going to remove this because we're no longer importing them inside here. And then because I don't think we're going to be using this function anywhere, so you can remove it so that we don't have any linting errors. And then we can save this, and then now inside our single question, we are going to once again import useState, the useState hook. And then below this, I'm going to create a new state value here that is going to be called show answer, and then the function is going to be called set show answer, and then this is going to be equal to useState, and by default it's going to be false, meaning we don't want the answer to show by default. And then using short circuit rendering, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this part out, and then I'm going to place my curly brackets and say that only when show answer is true, meaning show answer our state value, when it is true, that's when you want the paragraph to render which has the answer. So that when I save this, then all of these paragraphs should disappear. There we go. So they disappear. Now obviously I'm just realizing that we have a few issues here. We have a few issues. I hope we're going to be able to fix them. And then right here now, instead of rendering two buttons, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to cut them out, and then I'm going to render a UL, another list with two list items. And then we're going to say this. Let me paste these buttons somewhere here so that they don't I don't forget how they're structured. Now obviously let me just cut this out. Actually, let me just paste it here, and then cut this out and paste it here. Now what we want to do is this. We want the plus icon to show when show answer is false, meaning when we're not showing the answer, then we want the plus icon to show, and then when we're showing the answer, we want the minus icon to show. So the way we do that is this. We are going to go ahead and grab this entire list item. We're going to cut it out, and then we're going to say this. We're going to place our curly brackets and say that when not show answer, meaning when show answer is false, when this is true, then we want this list item to show. And then we're going to do the opposite here, cut it out and say when show answer, then we want that to show. Let me save it. Let me just make sure that I'm doing the correct thing. Yeah, there we go. So we have the question, and we can only see the plus icon. And then if we change this to true, then the answer should show, and then this changes to minus. So that is looking correctly. That is working correctly, not looking correctly, English. And so once we have that, then the functionality now comes that when we click on this, or when we click on the H1, then we should be able to toggle this. Now we're going to do that by going inside this button, and we're going to add an on-click event on this button, and we're going to say that when you click on this, we're going to pass in our inline function, and then we're going to be calling this function that is called setShowAnswer. So we're going to say setShowAnswer into true, because this is the plus icon, so we want it to show. So, and then we're going to copy this and then paste it here and then change this to false, so that now when I click on this icon, it doesn't show the question anymore, and then it changes the icon, and then so on and so forth. And it should do the same for these others. Now obviously this should be false by default, and then now we need to go ahead and also add this on the question. So right here, just copy the on click and paste it here. And then now the difference for the question is this needs to toggle as to whether it is true or false. So what we're going to do is, if it is true, meaning if the question, if we click on the question and the answer is showing, then the answer should now disappear. And then if the answer is not showing, then the answer should show. That is a tongue twister. So the way we do that is by saying we're going to be toggling using the exclamation, and we're going to say show answer. And what this means is just do the opposite of whatever the value of show answer is, meaning if it is false, then set it to true, and if it is true, then set it to false. So we can save that, and then now I can click on the question and it toggles. So that's looking okay. And then let's change this cursor into a pointer to show that the h2 is clickable. So here, add in a class name that says cursor pointer. There we go. So that now it is going to be showing the cursor pointer, meaning it is clickable. And so once we have that, then we just need to fix this. We need to fix this. And so what that means is we need what? We need what? We need to go and we need to play around with this class name. So instead of this being a string, we need it to be dynamically toggled. So let me see, how do we do that? Let me cut this out, and then we're going to place in our curly brackets and then our backticks, and then a $sign and then another curly brackets, and then we're going to say that when show answer is true, that's when we want these classes to apply. Let me see if that works. That does that, and then when I click on this, there we go. There we go, there we go, there we go. So just to explain it, what we're doing here is we're adding class names, we're adding these class names depending on the value of our state value here, which is show answer. Meaning if it is true, then set it to false. Meaning if this is true, then these classes are going to apply, meaning when the answer is showing. And then when the answer is not showing, meaning it is false, then these classes are going to be removed. And you can see that in action by just inspecting here. And then if this opens up, come on. So if you go inside here, if we go inside the section and then inside this one, now look at these classes, right? So if I click on this, sorry, that's not the correct one. So inside the div and then inside this one, so inside this article. So look at these classes. These classes are showing because this one is showing. But if I click on it to remove them, then the classes are all removed, and so on and so forth. So that's basically the logic behind it. That's the logic behind it. And that is how you make a simple accordion or FAQ section on your website. So let me go ahead and deploy this to GitHub. So let me go ahead and close this one and this one, and let me open up this. I can close this as well. So inside GitHub, and then let me close this. Really? Okay, there we go. Let me just make sure that I don't have any issues. So no issues here. We can shut this down, and then I can begin to add all of this to my repository. So create a new repository here, and I'm going to call it what? Let me say FM what? FM what? What did I call it? Accordion. Then create repository, and then let me say git add tailwind.config.js and git commit, and I'm going to call it tailwind config file, and then git add package star, and then git commit, and I'm going to say install Tailwind and React icons, and then git add, let me cd into the source folder first of all, and then git add app.js and git commit, and I'm going to say main component, and then git add index.css and git commit, and I'm going to say global styles, and then git add index.js, and I'm going to say git commit remove unused imports, and then git add questions.js and git commit, I'm going to say questions data, and then git add single question.js and git commit, and I'm going to call it single question component. And then remember the deleted files, we also need to add them, so git add all and git commit, I'm just going to say deleted files. And then let's copy this link, copy, and then git remote add origin, and then paste this in, and then git push -u origin main, which is going to push it to our remote branch here. And then let me log into Netlify so that you can deploy this once it pushes sometime today. So log in. Netlify, okay, my computer is hung. Okay, Netlify redesigned their website, looking nice. And then let's go ahead and say add new site from an existing project from GitHub, and then it is called FM accordion. So let me just check that this has finished. Yes, it has finished. And then when I reload this, then we should be able to see our application right here. There we go. And then now let's go ahead and deploy this and deploy site. And then we just need to wait for this to finish. And as we're waiting, let's change the site name here. Let me say TsbSankara -fm accordion, and then save it, and then let's wait. And then once it finishes, then we can go ahead and click this link, and we should be able to see our application right there. I didn't change the title, of course I did not. So the wait a minute, what? Wait, does this wait, is this by default right now? I did not know that. Anyways, so there's our application looking nice. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new, and if you did, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel as well if you're not already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.